Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, May 5, 2005 Urbandale City Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie.
Here.
Carberry Montgomery.
Here.
Cacciatore.
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here.
Kroll. Here. Perfect.
Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
And Cacciatore.
Yes.
Thank you.
Come up.
That passes. Item 3, presentations. First, we have a presentation from Catch Des Moines, and I'm going to introduce Greg Edwards to kick it off. I noticed he brought everybody who does all the real work there, but we'll let Greg start off. So,
You got that right. In fact, we just took a vote. I'm going to do the whole thing because this staff is very shy. I'll introduce Shannon Winters, who is an Urbandale resident, our Vice President of Finance. Trina Flack, I think you all know, is our Vice President of Sales and Services from Ankeny. And Brock Conrad, we finally got him out of the big city and just bought a new house in Clive, Iowa. Brock's our VP of Marketing. So, pleasure to be in front of you for the last time in my official duties as CEO of Catch Des Moines. And but I promise you, as a resident of Urbandale, I'll be here to bug you. What about my trash? No, I'm kidding. We're going to make this brief because I know you guys are busy. Let me see if I can advance this, which I can't. There we go. Kicking off with our overall budget. Proud of this fact that we only spend about 15% of our overall budget on administrative things. All the rest goes to where it should be going. 85% goes towards our sales and marketing of conventions and sports, and 36% goes towards all of our marketing efforts as well. Some of the upcoming major events this year, we're going to have a busy summer, really kicking off in this month, where we'll host the USA Academic Decathlon, which we misspelled that on that slide. Which I would have never known. You pronounce it decathlon, right? There's no A in it. Iowa State co-ed track meet, of course, is coming in. The All-Iowa Attack, which is a super basketball tournament that we've hosted now for, I think, the last 4 or 5 years. Thousands of young ladies coming into the metro area. And then, of course, the Principal Charity Classic. Also, the end of May will also be the Red Bull Soapbox Derby, which is kind of an exciting time, too. June, busy month with the World Pork Expo, Ironman, National Speech and Debate, which I think you're familiar with, which is like the largest academic convention in the nation. We'll be back in Des Moines with about 8,000 students, plus coaches, parents, et cetera, about 14,000 people in the metro for about 11-day period. July, also busy with IndyCar racing. Again, All Iowa Attack is back. And then the biggie in July is the National Senior Games, which I think I've mentioned to you all before. 14,000 seniors, ages 50 and over, 26 different sports, venues all across the metro, including Ames, where we'll be hosting the track and field championships for them. But really excited for this group to be here as well. August, of course, we have NASCAR, the Iowa State Fair, which, of course, we take credit for booking that every year. Just kidding. And Central State Shrine will also be here to do their Shriner parades and have a little fun in Des Moines as well. Last year in review, we helped and serviced over 393 conventions and sporting events throughout the metro. 261 of those were a direct result from our efforts, taking it from the sales process all the way to booking it and servicing it while I was here. and then 300 future conventions and meetings were booked for the future. For Urbandale specifically, we sent 74 leads to your hotels. 31 of those events were held, and 33 future groups were booked in your hotels here in the great city of Urbandale. On the marketing side, Brock and his team do a great job marketing the area. Obviously, still concentrating on the state of Iowa as our #1 market, but expanding into Omaha. We've now expanded into Kansas City, Minneapolis quite a bit. Chicago has shown some good results from the Chicago market, and Milwaukee as well. Really pushing everything from our arts and culture to breweries to events, festivals, on and on and on. You can see on the pie chart our mix of advertising and how we go about doing that. This chart will demonstrate leisure transient market. The red line is the current, what we've attracted this current last fiscal year, and the blue line is the pre-COVID number, 2018-19 fiscal year. And you can see where we've really upgraded our occupancy levels and things by attracting more leisure visitors and things like that. So really our sales and marketing efforts have certainly paid off on that end. We're going to end things here with a little video that we created recently. Our name is Catch Des Moines, and we sell serious fun. But dig a little deeper and you'll find something greater. As the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau, we bring visitors to the region through events and leisure travel marketing, and our impact knows no bounds. Ever wonder how Des Moines lands such events as NCAA March Madness and National Speech and Debate? That's thanks to our year-round efforts connecting national meeting planners and selling them on what we all know. Des Moines is the real deal. And all those videos, lists, and headlines that paint Des Moines as the cool place to be, yeah, that's us too. Whether it's through economic impact, job creation, or enhancing the reputation of the region, visitors and events leave a lasting impression.
Most major cities in the country have a CVB. And so if we want to compete for these big events, we have to have a CVB out there telling our story and telling everybody about all the great things that our region has to offer. I can tell you from experience that people select venues and destinations based on trusting who they're going to work with and having that credibility. Catch Des Moines does an amazing job of building that trust on behalf of Greater Des Moines. And that is key to the success of our region.
Catch Des Moines is such an important partner at the Iowa Event Center and what we do and the business we do. There's so many events, from sporting events to conventions and conferences. Catch Des Moines has a hand in just about everything. People focus on NCAA basketball and some of the bigger sporting events, but there's so many smaller regional and local meetings that take place in the event center. People are staying overnight in hotels, they're going to the bars and restaurants. It's a huge economic piece to the region.
Catch Des Moines brings in large groups throughout the year, that's great, but it's really the 100 to 500 person groups every week throughout the year that sustains air service. So it's not just all locals that are leaving the airport and coming back. We need people continually coming into Des Moines. When the visitors all come to town, that helps support all these businesses that create that vibrant social scene.
Catch Des Moines helps small businesses like mine by just getting the word out. With the help of their social media, their marketing programs, Catch Des Moines makes sure that everyone knows that we exist. And telling my story about why this bakery matters, not just to me, but also to the community. Catch Des Moines is our biggest cheerleader to make sure we don't remain a best-kept secret.
And while we like to shout about our local businesses, our sports scene has been making plenty of noise too.
In 2022, the youth sports industry was estimated at almost $40 billion. They expect that number to grow to almost $60 billion by 2030. Our region is growing tremendously and it's really turned into a sports mecca. It's because of Catch and their connections that we're able to attract these tournaments and bring tourism into West Des Moines and the surrounding communities.
And it's not just sports where we provide an assist. Catch sits at the head of the table when it comes to bringing in conventions and meetings too.
So about 10 years ago, the superintendent of Waukee Schools and I had a vision for bringing the largest academic competition in the world to Des Moines. And the first thing I did was call Catch Des Moines, because I knew that our Visitors Bureau knew exactly what it would take to bring a high school event like ours to the city. Many visitor bureaus play the role of being the bridge between the city and the organization and the event. What Catch understands is that you have to be more than the bridge. You have to be the vehicle and the fuel to help that organization maximize its mission while they're in the city. There's a ton of economic benefit that happens when thousands of people over a long period of time come to the city. They also have an opportunity to see all kinds of parts of the city. Visiting the amusement park at Adventureland, going to watch Hamilton at the Civic Center, eating at our incredible restaurants. Catch Des Moines understands that when you bring 7,000 future leaders to Des Moines, Iowa, that will have a reciprocal benefit in the future, because those individuals will fall in love with this city. They will come back and be a part of this city and this culture, and someday they might call themselves Iowans.
If you build a place where people want to visit, you'll build a place where people want to live. If you build a place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business needs to be. If you build a place where business has to be, you'll build a place where people have to visit. Our impact is greater.
Because in Des Moines,
Only the S's.
Are silent.
And I think... Yeah, okay, the American dream. We are the American dream. I want you all to know that. And,
People often ask the question, is the...
how do I get back to, I don't think, do I have one more slide maybe?
I think so.
Nicole is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, of course she is.
Driven her nuts all day, so. Bottom line, in last fiscal year, we generated over $150 million in economic impact to the entire metro area, so spending your hotel tax wisely. Any questions, comments?
I just want to say, I've been on the board, I think, 20 years now, ever since I became mayor, so I've been on this board, have observed it, have seen the highs and some lows with the Great Recession and with COVID, you know, and saw how Greg's team pivoted through those, especially through those lows, because it can be a very cyclical type of business, and we've endured some of the lows, but we've been able to ride a lot of the great highs too. So, and I know firsthand how, because we just had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we go through the metrics every board meeting, and I can see exactly what, you know, what Brock's doing from a marketing standpoint, what Trina's doing from a booking standpoint. They're selling the region, and as Urbandale, we fight above our weight for hotel motel tax, because we're the 4th largest city by population, but I think we still consistently are number 3 in hotel motel tax, aren't we, Shannon?
Yes.
Confirm that, so we fight above our weight there, and bringing these events to our community gives us a payback for the hotel motel tax. So, team, and Craig, thank you for everything you do for our community, so.
Thank you all. See you soon. Thanks.
All right. And don't come down to my house after you're retired and bug me too much. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right, we will turn now to some proclamations, some very important proclamations for various things this meeting. First is the proclamation for National Police Week 2025. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls is National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Urbandale Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Urbandale's residents. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty protecting their communities, including one of our own, Urbandale Police Officer Justin Martin, who was tragically killed in the line of duty on November 2, 2016. Now therefore, I, Robert Andeweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, call upon all residents of Urbandale and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational institutions to observe May 11 through May 17, 2025 as National Police Week. with ceremonies in which all of our residents may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have earned for themselves an enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security for all residents. I further call upon all residents of Urbandale to observe Thursday, May 15, 2025, as Peace Officers Memorial Day to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Urbandale to be affixed to this. So, and I would like to ask Captain Logsman from the Urbandale Police Department to come up and accept this.
Just real quick, I'd like to remind everybody that on May 13th, the Urbandale Police Department, along with its law enforcement partners, have planned the Peace Officer Memorial Service, and that'll be held this year in Altoona at the Lutheran Church of the Cross, and that's at 7 p.m. on May 13th.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Captain.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, and next is a proclamation for 2025 National Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Whereas the month of May has been designated as National Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, a time to recognize and celebrate the rich cultural diversity, traditions, and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to our community, state, and nation. And whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have played a vital role, in shaping the history, culture, and economic development of the United States, and contributing to the strength, prosperity, and vibrancy of our nation. Whereas this observance provides an opportunity to honor the achievements and acknowledge the challenges faced by AAPI communities, promoting understanding, appreciation, and respect for their unique heritage and experiences. Now therefore, I, Robert Andwig, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as National Asian Pacific American Heritage Month in the City of Urbandale, and encourage all residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to participate in events and activities that celebrate the cultural richness of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Sign that. I don't believe we have anybody to accept this tonight. Next is a proclamation for 2025 Building Safety Month. Whereas the City of Urbandale recognizes that its growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role that our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. Whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our communities achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. Whereas these professionals are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play, by protecting the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Game On, the theme for Building Safety Month 2025, encourages us all to get involved and raise awareness about the building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, the Urbandale City Council acknowledges to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, I, Robert Andwig, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Building Safety Month. And I believe our Chief Building Official, Roger Semwell, is going to accept this. Roger? Best building official.
Game On, yeah. One of the, I've always quizzed why it takes a whole month for building safety. Well, there's 4 weeks of this. The first 4 weeks of these, week 1 is warming up. That's where you discover how building safety impacts our daily lives. Week 2 is building the offense. And that's creating a plan to actively support building safety programs in the community. And then week 3 is building for defense. And that's where we stay prepared for natural disasters, severe weather, earthquakes. Week 4 is the starting lineup, where we meet building safety professionals and learn about rewarding careers in building safety. And then since we do a whole month, sometimes we run the risk of 5 weeks. So that's where week 5 is going into overtime. And that's where we'll look at the building safety industry, including the global trends and also artificial intelligence. That's a ICC national program that we participate in. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. All right, and lastly is a proclamation for 2025 Bike Month. Whereas May is recognized across the country as Bike Month, a time to celebrate the many benefits of cycling for health, transportation, and community well-being. Whereas Urbandale's 50-plus miles of paved trails offer safe, scenic routes for commuting, exercise, and recreation, connecting neighborhoods and linking to a growing regional trail system. Whereas biking helps reduce traffic congestion, lower pollution, and support a healthy, active lifestyle. Whereas the Iowa Bicycle Coalition has been a strong partner in promoting safe and accessible biking across Iowa, including its advocacy for bike-friendly laws and improved infrastructure. And whereas Urbandale is committed to sustainability and building a bike network that works for residents of all ages and abilities, whereas all road users have shared responsibility to ensure the safety of bicyclists by giving them space and respecting their right to the road. Now therefore, I, Robert Andeweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale and a bicyclist, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Bike Month in Urbandale and encourage residents to participate in Bike to Work Day on May 16 and to explore and enjoy bicycling in our community. And I believe Luke Hoffman is here. Luke is right there. Come on up, Luke.
Well, just want to say thank you on behalf of the donors, members, and supporters of the Iowa Bike Coalition. We're a statewide nonprofit organization. This is actually our 21st year. And so we have been in Iowa as our statewide organization advocating primarily in the legislature, but also across the entire state, including our municipal level partners as well. And it's important for all of us to stand up together, especially when we think about the prohibition on electronic devices that we just got enacted into law that's going to take effect on July 1st. And so that's the hands-free law, as it's commonly known, and now we're the 31st state in the country to get that done, which, the kind of short version is you have to use Bluetooth while driving or voice-activated, and thus being hands-free, and also equipping law enforcement with the tools they need to better enforce the texting while driving law that's also been on the books, but there was kind of a gap that law helped close. And so that's going to save a lot of lives here in Iowa, plain and simple. And so if we all work together to help get the word out about that being done, that's part of one of the reasons why we're here today with this proclamation. It is just for that awareness, and then offering up, the coalition as a resource. So we have, other programs as well, like our Safe Routes to School program. Would love to see some Urbandale, especially elementary schools, participating in our Safe Routes to School program. We have a full-time person who's a dedicated staff person that's totally free of charge. We cover about 80% of the state, including the Des Moines Metro. And so we actually have Walk Bike Roll Day coming up here on May 7th in a couple of days, but you can do this anytime in the month of May during Bike Month, and that just means that we work with schools, particularly elementary schools, so they can have a fun time, walk, bike, or rolling to school. And we actually have 110 schools signed up right now. We would love to be in the top 10 per capita. We're, I think last year, somewhere around 15th per capita, and we've doubled the number of schools participating this year. So we're really trying to get there, so we'd love to have your help in that this year or next year going into the future. So Safe Routes to School, amazing program. We've been doing that for 17 years in partnership with the DOT. So really appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk. Would love to look forward to a future opportunity. I think we're going to talk about our statewide economic impact at a future time. It may be kind of a lunch and learn style. But just want to say thank you to the council members, the mayor, and to the city of Urbandale for being just such an amazing bike-friendly community. I use y'all as an example all the time when I'm talking to the other places in the state. They're like, what can we do different? What can we do better? And I often lift up Urbandale and some of your other partners here as, the gold standard. So seriously, thank you as a cyclist as well for making a great place to live, work, and play.
Appreciate it.
Proud to be here because of it. So
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We just had our mayor's bike ride on Saturday. Had a good turnout. It was a little brisk, but it was a good turnout. So
Very good. Very good.
we had a good. Everybody had a good time. And so.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, and we look forward to having you back. We know that I was just going to say we're going to try to get you scheduled for a lunch and learn so we can have you present your report on the statewide impact. So,
Excellent. Looking forward to working together on making an even better bike-friendly community, so.
all right.
I
Thanks,
guess if
Luke.
you, I just have a question or comment. If you're coming back, you can maybe give us more information then, but you pitched pretty hard on the safe rides or
Safe routes to school.
safe
yeah.
routes.
Yeah.
I think we would be very open to, I mean, we have 6 school districts.
Oh, great, yeah.
And several private schools in our boundaries. So we would be, I think that would be something very much in alignment with our strategic goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, when you come back and talk to us, if you could give us a appropriate nudge on who we would need to talk to, or who Jan would need to talk to,
Yeah.
I don't know, to try and get that more active here in Urbandale.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Absolutely can make sure that that's a focal point of the presentation. Like I said, it's a full-time staff person we have dedicated to this. It's a free program. We've done it for 17 years, so we really know what we're doing with it. And the impact is amazing. I mean, when I see these kids, the smiles on their faces, you know, and a safe route for a kid is a safe route for a senior. It's a safe route for everybody. So I think it's a fantastic program. I think it'd be a wonderful fit. And it's for-profit and not-for-profit schools, private, public, all ages, K through 12. So we play with all that, so.
Great. Well, I look forward to further discussion with you on all the issues.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
All right, we will move on now to Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's regular agenda. Would anyone like to address the council at this time? All right, seeing none, we will move on then. Item 5 is the adoption of the minutes. There's one for the April 15, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote.
Bodie.
Oh, she got it.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. We have 13 items on the consent agenda for approval.
Move approval. Oh,
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
That passes. Item 7, to establish public hearings. First is item 7.1, to establish a public hearing for the Des Moines Christian School application for voluntary annexation. This would set the public hearing date of June 17, 2025. Christie would answer any questions if there are, so.
Motion to approve resolution 153-2025.
Okay, motion by Rosendahl,
second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
That passes. Item 7.2 is to establish a public hearing for the shelter and restroom improvements project. This would set the hearing date for June 3, 2025.
Motion to approve resolution 150-2025.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
That passes. Item 7.3 is to establish public hearing for the Urbandale Downtown Master Plan of May 20, 2025.
Move resolution 159-2025.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore.
Yes.
That passes. Item 8, planning and zoning items. We have one. This is item 8.1, the Walnut Hills School final plat at 4240 156th Street. And presenting this is our Assistant Community Development Director, Christy Bales. Christy?
Very good, thank you. Sorry.
We're not going to watch that video again.
Don't start the video, please. No, it's all good. This is kind of a housekeeping matter. This final plat involves the Walnut Hills Elementary School. Clearly, the elementary school is there and under construction. A few weeks ago, you saw a site plan for site improvements where they're going to redo the bus drop-off lane here on the north side of the building. In reviewing that site plan, We found something that we didn't do 20 years ago, so this is the housekeeping reference. If you look closely at this lot, you'll see about 12 vertical outlots. That's how that lot is still platted. And so, yes, Mr. Mayor, we agree with the confused look. So we're gonna clean this up to consolidate those outlots into one buildable lot, a little over 12 acres in size. There was a final plat 20 years ago. That's why we know we started something, we just didn't finish it. So we're gonna finish it. We're gonna get a sanitary easement for a line that's already in place, get a couple of other easements for stormwater detention basins. So staff has recommended approval, subject to the conditions that you see in the staff report. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval as well when they had this in front of them last week. I don't believe the engineering firm's going to be here. They didn't have any comments, but they had some conflicts. So they're good. We'll get some easement descriptions to the school to get those, that conversation started. It's a little bit different working with the schools. They have to do a public hearing for easements. So I'll take any questions you may have. Otherwise, as I said, we're recommending approval, and so is P&Z Commission.
Well, sometimes I find things I should have done 20 years ago too.
So I was not here for this action in March, so I just have to say that I think it's great that they're doing enhancements to the drop-off and pickup lane. It is actually one of the oldest schools in the Waukee, elementary schools in the Waukee School District. But will there be additional costs for the school district to do these public hearings, or from their engineering to clean up our mess? I guess is.
I don't, so, I mean, is there an engineering fee? Yes, I'm sure there is. They had an engineering fee, or a different engineering firm who was on board 20 years ago. So they haven't raised that as a concern.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure
believe
it's
you're
part of
doing this.
getting this
Yeah,
through
exactly.
the
We included the final
process.
plat cleanup as a condition on the site plan, and kind of no red flags were
Okay.
waived at that time.
That'd be very minor, whatever it is.
Yeah. Just curious.
Yes.
But I fully support this project. I just did not get a chance to say, you know, this is the best elementary school in Urbandale. Sorry. Little bias there.
Move Resolution 151, 2025, subject to conditions.
All right, motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
Thanks, Christie. That passes. What happened?
Sorry, Walnut Hills.
Still
Did
passes.
you blow this for us?
No, he's an aye vote.
Did I vote twice?
It's not on my screen.
I voted.
It went.
Wait.
I think it's you, Bridget.
No, I voted, I swear. It wasn't the
It
button.
doesn't show you or pass.
Well,
Bodie? I'll vote again. That was like the third time now I've voted on that thing.
There we go.
yeah, because we moved and seconded it.
All right, that passes.
Thank goodness.
Item 9 is regular agenda items. First is item 9.1 is to consider the 2025 Series A General Obligation Capital Loan Note Sale. Nikki, do you have any presentation or just answering questions? So we have two resolutions for approval here. Nikki, you would answer any questions if there are any for these.
Was that note specific to UMB the same as last year? Okay, sounds good.
Move approval, Resolution 157-2025.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
That passes.
Move approval, Resolution 158-2025.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
That passes. Thank you. Item 9.2 is to consider the Merle Hay Reinvestment District Economic Analysis, and to present this is our Assistant City Manager, Curtis Brown. Curtis?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight, Council Letter 8167, is to authorize the mayor, authorize approval for the mayor to sign of an economic analysis with AECom. This is related to the Merle Hay Reinvestment District. I'll explain a little bit. There is a 28E intergovernmental agency formed between the cities of Urbandale and Des Moines, and Polk County is also on the board of that 28E. And that entity administers and holds the contract with the Iowa Economic Development Authority regarding the Iowa Reinvestment Act on the approximately 75-acre Merle Hay campus. We originally submitted our application in April of 2022 and received an allocation of $26.5 million of incremental sales tax earned on the Merle Hay campus over 20 years. So 3 years goes by, and as we know, the project has changed substantially, and so the 28E submitted an amended application to the state last month. That came through this council, Des Moines as well. And in our application, we used the sales tax generation estimates from a 2022 study that we had commissioned to ask a retail expert, what is the sales tax generating potential on the Merle Hay campus? So as we have been in conversation with IDA, we realized the need for a new third-party analysis to look at, now that the project has changed, what is the new incremental sales tax revenue generating potential on the mall campus. And so as we were having that conversation, realized that we were going to need to move that study up because the new analysis will inform the final allocation that's recommended by IDA staff to the IDA board. So really verifying that $26.5 million allocation through a third-party analysis, whatever the result of that is, will help to inform the staff recommendation to the IDA board. And so, time being of the essence, the IDA would like to consider this early summer, probably July. We needed to find a consultant, and staff identified very quickly AECOM. That is a firm that did the financial analysis for the downtown Urbandale master plan. So they know Urbandale well. They know the downtown area and the mall campus well. Aaron and I have both worked with AECOM in previous work. They're Chicago-based. They have a lot of experience in Iowa and knowledge of Iowa's fiscal environment, how our sales tax works, hotel, motel tax, et cetera. So we have confidence in recommending them to the council. What they'll do is analyze now the sales tax potential, both of the general retail of the mall as well as the reimagined sports venues. We've asked them to prepare a draft report by mid-June and then a final report by June 30. So this is going to move quickly, which is why we got it on the agenda quickly as well. The professional fee will be $27,900. If we do require in-person presentations by their staff, it would be $2,500 per person per meeting to cover the time and travel. I don't necessarily anticipate that, but in full disclosure, wanted you to know that that was in the contract as well. So this resolution 154, 2025 approves that contract with AECOM. And with that, I'll answer any questions if you have them.
All right, thanks, Curtis. Any questions for Curtis?
If they come here and give three presentations at 3 different meetings, that's $7,500?
It would be. I don't anticipate that.
Yeah, I don't either,
it's
but-
a provision of the contract that I just wanted you to know that
Yeah.
it's in there. But
Hopefully they don't quite mean that.
truthfully, their work will be, they're able to do their work at a distance. We have virtual calls with them all the time. I don't anticipate needing that.
So is the city of Urbandale being asked to cover this entire cost?
The city of Urbandale is taking on that cost. We weren't asked to do it. We see it 2 ways. One, we are also the ones being looked at to possibly finance the construction of the project should, after we pass through everything with IDA, should we continue down that path. This is actually an economic analysis that we would have commissioned for our due diligence process. It just happens that because of IDA needing to re-verify that amount, we're moving it up. Incidentally, the first time around, when we hired an independent consultant to look at the feasibility of the project at all, Urbandale took care of that cost as well. So while the project is in both cities and obviously in Polk County, Urbandale has really taken the lead on the revitalization of the mall. The East Des Moines side, the retail is tending to be doing decent, and it's the west side, the Urbandale side, that needs some more attention. So that would be our cost.
Well, I appreciate that response.
Of
And I
course.
guess we approved something at the last meeting.
Yes.
And it was gonna go to the board.
So we thought.
So what, I guess I was just
Yes.
looking for a status update.
Yeah.
And I know I incidentally had a brief conversation with Aaron, and I know he was going to talk to the director. So I was just wondering kind of generally on that part of it, what the status of
Yep.
things were.
You bet. So what came before the Des Moines and Urbandale City Councils was an endorsement of the amended application, which then after the councils indicated a thumbs up, the 28E took action, but not until the day before the April board meeting. And so in discussions with IDA, they said, look, why don't we just slow this a little bit? We just received the application. So what ended up happening is the 28E officially endorsed it, sent it to IDA on a Thursday. The next morning at the IDA board meeting, the staff member we're working with, Elena Santizo, simply reported to the board that they had received an amended application and would be working staff to staff on that application. So then, a week later, we ended up meeting with Director Durham, Elena, cities of Urbandale and Des Moines, as well as Liz Holland, the mall owner. So we're workshopping this application.
So the feedback
right
you
now.
got from that meeting is leading us to want to do this
That's exactly
study?
right.
Okay,
Yes. Mhm.
great.
That new numbers would be helpful in moving this down the path. So now, my best estimate is that we'd be to IDA in July. I put an asterisk on that. That's my best estimate right now. We'll
But
keep
they're
you up-
working, I mean, they're not gonna call the question before we're ready? I
No,
mean,
we
okay.
stay in touch. We stay
Okay.
in touch with them.
Okay.
We let them know that this is coming to council tonight, of the timeline for the report. So we should be in good shape. Communication's key in this project,
Absolutely, thank you.
for certain.
So with this analysis, let's say they come back, did the previous analysis come back and say it was 26.4 million in impact, and then the IEDA said, okay, yes, 26.4, this is what the project's gonna get?
There was a nexus with the investment in sales tax generation, but that was a number of, a half dozen projects came through. The state had $100 million that had to be allocated across different projects. So through their staff recommendation, it wasn't a one-to-one. I couldn't tell you, okay, this project generates that, therefore it gets this. But in looking at the projects, we ended up getting about a quarter of that 100 million allocation, that 26.5. I think in looking at it now, as our plan has changed, as our numbers, we're making sure that they're conservative. We don't want to greatly overestimate this. The project has changed, and so coming into that amended application, the sales tax generation was moderated from where it was the previous time. That raised the question, with a moderated sales tax impact, do we need to take another look at the allocation? The answer is, why don't you do another study and let's prove this out.
So then if the study comes back with a different number, does the application get updated to that number, or does the Like,
Right.
what is that impact?
Yeah, well, one, we'll have to see what the number is, and we really, we do trust this consultant. We really want a clear-eyed, independent analysis. And so we're willing to deal with what the number is that they come back with. I would imagine, logistically, how will we append this report perhaps to the amended application, somehow officially receive it and file it, would be my guess. I don't think we'll do a whole new application, or amendment rather. But then we'll have to see how the staff thinks through any number that comes out of this. The goal now, obviously, is to try to preserve that allocation that we received, that 26.5. But we're all professional, we're all being very above board, and we're looking at the project in a very transparent way. So we thought the best way to do that is bring in a third-party consultant who can look at this objectively as well.
Sounds good, thank you.
Certainly.
Yeah, I realize time is of the essence. Just wondering if we've done any analysis or comparison to know whether the professional fee is a competitive rate.
We did not do an analysis. When we realized that we were going to need to move this up, we looked quickly at what would be a firm that we would feel confident as staff recommending to the council, and it was AECOM. All that said, I do think it's reasonable. I think of some of the other consultant contracts that we've entered into. I'm just mentally benchmarking them, and if I thought it was, it is, I think we're getting a good product for what we're paying. It's not a small amount, but I do think it's in line with what we'd expect.
Well, I do think it's efficient to go with the vendor that you know.
Certainly.
And so that's worth something.
Certainly.
All right. Any other comments or discussion?
Move Resolution 154-2025.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
That passes. At 9.3 is considered the Iowa Thriving Communities application for designation. Curtis?
Okay, this costs you no money. Alrighty. As soon as this comes up, we'll get started. Okay, great. So the Iowa Thriving Communities is a program of the Iowa Finance Authority. This is the third year the authority, or IFA, has taken applications. The reason communities do this, the benefit is this, is that if you're designated a thriving community, a developer proposing projects in a designated thriving community can earn additional points on their application when they submit them to IFA for any of these 4 programs. So even a small 2 or 5 point difference in an application can really make a difference with some of these applications. So communities are applying for this to be designated, and really, as we've worked on this over the last 6-8 weeks here, it's an application that is designed to show IFA we're a community where you can trust your investment will be stewarded well. So if you allocate these additional points to us, we're ready to go and can really leverage those points. In an effort at transparency, I just want you to see, I would love to share the application with you. It just doesn't work very well. So the state of Iowa's grant portal, as you can see, it's, for example, here's the planning and assessment section. You have 250 words to provide a summary, and then we're looking to string together all kinds of PDFs into one big PDF. Long story short, I would love to append the application to this, but we just can't do it. So in lieu of that, I just want to walk you through each of the areas of the application just really quickly. The first is financial support. This is where you show IFA the different financial commitments and real estate strategies the city has employed. And what we did is totaled up the previous 3 fiscal years, the one we're in now, and the next fiscal year, and looked at all of the expenditures and commitments we've made, and it comes up to a stunning $6 million that Urbandale has really put real money and commitment into everything from direct support of projects to contributions to different regional efforts in terms of housing. So we think that tells a really good story there as well. Obviously, we've done a lot with the view on Hickman, with the old Econo Lodge site, and so we're putting our money where our mouth is. This section also has support from Polk County Housing Trust Fund, Dallas County Local Housing Trust Fund, and the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance. The second section, planning and assessment, is to demonstrate this is from the application, purposeful planning and assessment to address the community's housing needs. Our 2 plans, the 2023 comp plan as well as the 2025 downtown plan, really have substantial guidance on housing in them. So those figure big into this section, as well as the housing subcommittee of the Human Services Committee as well. The targeted location section, what we ended up doing in terms of targeted locations is, first, you see that purple band there that roughly runs an east-west path from Airline Avenue on the north to Oliver Smith on the south. That is the rough boundary as a downtown planning area. So then we looked within that and identified 2 locations. First of all, this green area, which is the Douglas Avenue multifamily, so between 106 and 109th, and then looking specifically at the 10841 Douglas site. And then second, in the downtown planning area, looking at the southeast corner of 71st and Madison, which is the Kading property, that old 2-story office building, and then a bit further east, the Stanbro properties that are on both the north and the south side of Douglas. So what that means is projects that identify or identify those sites as a place where a developer wants to propose a project. These are the areas where they could receive those additional points. Now, we will go into the project applying for both the federal tax credits, the low-income housing tax credit, as well as the state's workforce housing tax credit. We'll indicate both, and truth be told, IFA will make that decision. They'll either say, your locations are more like LIHTC, or your locations are more like WHTC, or they're both. And so they'll make that decision, but we'll indicate both.
Curtis, quick question. So what you were just saying about, the between the 2 different programs, I mean, that would be once we received a designation and had a project actually in the
Correct.
making an application to the state.
Yep.
Not at this point
Not
of
at
this
this
threat.
point.
Okay.
Nope, that comes later. Yep.
Clarifying.
You bet. Strategic leadership and partnerships. This is where we show our commitment to diverse housing options. And so in this section, we identify all those ways that we're partnering with others. So in this section, we have letters or memos from the food pantry, UCAN, and the Urbandale Police Department that really, again, the objective is to show this is a thriving community, we're building community, and we recognize housing's a part of it. Workforce attraction and retention is economic development section. So what we're trying to show is that we understand the needs of our workforce, especially their housing needs. We're working with employers to try to meet those. And then we also identify employers in our community that are making a positive impact on housing. For example, how many of our Urbandale businesses contribute to Habitat for Humanity or Polk County Housing Trust Fund, for example? I'll tell you, there's a company in town called iEmergent that actually works and builds software for the emerging mortgage lending market as well. So they're a company in Urbandale that seeks to serve underserved housing markets. So really trying to elevate those companies in this section as well. Okay, last one is the thriving community. this is that catch-all. Show us how you're thriving in health indicators, walkability, bikeability, public art, built environment, impact on public health. This has been a large team effort from community development, ED, admin services and risk management, as well as the city manager's office. So a lot of people get credit for pulling the information together. The next steps then would be to submit this week ahead of the Monday, May 12 deadline. There would be a preliminary decision in the summer, so you're invited as a community to present in person to IFA. And then a final decision is announced in the fall. Then those points, to your question, Councilmember Carberry Montgomery, become available for applications from developers in calendar year 2026. So this action tonight, approving this Council Letter 8166, designates the mayor as the official elected contact, designates me, the assistant city manager, as the primary staff contact, and then authorizes the application to IFA. Are there any additional questions?
Not necessarily a question, but have we talked to Polk County to do a letter of support because of the Econo Lodge investment?
That is in there for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
We haven't sought a specific letter, but we do have the resolutions both from this county council and the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
But we can certainly look into that if there's time and possibility.
There's time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I was just wondering too, on that last page of the thriving community elements,
Yep.
I would think our Sustainable Urbandale Action Plan.
Sure.
And some of the work that Parks is doing on renewable energy and things like that, those would all be elements I think we could refer to.
Certainly.
And I would even suggest participation in the Project Uplift.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Very much so. However limited it ended up having to be.
Sure.
We dug a lot of holes.
I know I've had conversations with Tiffany in the past regarding employers and challenges that they have, and I know housing has come up in that conversation. It's been a few years. I'm sure that hasn't changed.
Sure. Yes, I know Economic Development, Aaron and Ebony have talked with the chamber several times throughout this process.
Great.
Well, you go ahead.
You said with the points, they're available in 2026. So basically, is this a yearly application that we would just need to continue going for it as long as we kind of have areas that theoretically we would want to identify?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. One of the interesting things, at least a couple communities got extensions for their thriving community designation. My guess is that they didn't have developers make application in that calendar year, so IFA gave them one more year to try to get that.
Well, I'm incredibly appreciative of everyone's time in putting this together. I think this has been on my radar at least last year, if not the year before. And obviously, affordable housing is a huge priority for me in this community and in the metro. So I really thank everyone for putting in the extensive work. I know that it was needed to pull this all together. And just a couple of comments along the line of what Amy was asking. I'm sure you're referencing our contribution to the Neighborhood Finance Corporation in those dollars, but I don't know if a letter from them in the list with the food pantry would also be relevant there, not just reference to the dollars, but that might be a good idea. And then you specifically said Habitat for Humanity, but as home to one of the restores,
yes,
I'm sure that's on your radar as well, but I wanted to make sure if it wasn't that them being in our community supports their mission.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
And then just to connect the dots, at the Human Services Committee meeting on Thursday, there is the presentation on housing. I have sent you, hopefully if you can get it, the slides for that presentation. So
Great,
they're in your
thank you.
inbox.
Good.
All right, that is our motion.
I'll move approval of Council Letter 8166.
Second.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Excuse me, Cacciatore?
Yes.
It didn't come through yet. Hasn't come through yet.
We have not gotten a voting screen, or I haven't.
I think I may have been the only one who did.
I think this is our sign that our meetings need to be only
1 hour.
I apologize.
1
If you'll
hour
give us
and
just
like
a minute here. We'll see if we can. Saved at least that time. Okay. We didn't.
It was Bridget.
And now it's doing that. Do you recall? I
Was
don't recall the
Bridget.
motions. It was.
Bridget and then
me.
Bridget, yeah, Bridget
Kroll.
and Amy.
Let's see. I don't think it. I think I gotta stop and go back.
This is so great. Love this. Where was I? I think it was at the watershed thing. Somebody handed out a bookmark or something. I love it.
there we go.
Okay, so those stayed that time. Okay.
It didn't go. Oh, so it keeps saying send. Doesn't matter.
Did it pop up on your tablets that time? Oh.
Did you vote the first time?
If you would please.
Oh.
Oh, and I didn't turn this on.
It popped up over there without her doing it though.
It doesn't show.
Didn't have that going, which is probably why that made that angry. I appreciate your patience. This is actually helping us diagnose, hopefully, what we have going on. Let me try one more time. Councilmember Bodie, did the vote pop up for you now?
Pat?
Started correctly. No, you're fine. It came up that time for you?
All right.
Okay, perfect. Thank
That
you.
passes. We good?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Item 9.4 is consider the first reading of ordinance 2025-08 regarding the Foundation Drain Disconnection Program. And to present this is our Assistant Director of Engineering, Kristen Brostrom. Kristen?
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I have some slides for you. I'm going to step through them fairly quickly because we've discussed this a number of times already. So hopefully this is looking fairly familiar. We did discuss this at a lunch and learn back in October, and then the following council meeting, and then of course during our budget discussions in this spring. So hopefully no surprises here. It's what you expected to see out of this. Just to recap, our current practice with foundation drains, storm sewer and sump services have been installed for the last 40 years or so. Typically, sanitary sewer is low enough that it can gravity drain from the house. Some services go to the storm sewer, which is not low enough to gravity drain, and that's why we've got sump pumps in houses. In the older parts of town where storm sewer was not regularly installed before the 80s, we do have those sump pumps, I'm sorry, not sump pumps, the foundation drains tied directly into the sanitary instead of having a sump pump. The foundation drains that are connected to sanitary sewers are environmentally irresponsible, they're detrimental to infrastructure, and they're costly to our residents. And we actually prohibit it in 2 places in code because it is a problem. As we've discussed before, with sanitary sewer does not have the capacity to handle that groundwater. So we get backups in rain events with the raw sewage. That was one of the primary issues in the 2018 500-year event. Those additional flows do go down to the WRA and are treated, so the customers from in the sewer districts are paying for that treatment. The capacity will eventually overwhelm the sanitary sewers. Environmentally, you're just wasting energy to treat stormwater that doesn't need to be treated. And again, we've had this push for the last couple of years, rightly so, to try to establish storm sewer where there isn't any, to provide that protection for residents for flooding. And the efficiency of that is decreased if we're not also addressing the sump services side of things. So again, just to recap what we're talking about, the foundation drain goes around the foundation of the house, sometimes also called a footing drain. And in homes without a sump pump, that is often tied into the sanitary. It has to be tied into the sanitary. There's no other place for that water to go. The intent would be instead to disconnect that from the sanitary service, put in a sump pump, and kick it up to the storm sewer level. We've had a number of projects over the years that have provided these new storm services to residents. Most recently, the 72nd Street project a few years ago, the Urbandale Sanitary Sewer District did offer some incentives to property owners on that stretch to go ahead and make that disconnection and hook up to storm sewer. There were no takers of that offer, and so we are taking that into account as we're developing this program. We also have a number of projects coming up. Most of these are related to in fact, I think all 5 of them are related to our 2021 stormwater drainage study, where we are looking at installing storm sewer where it is needed in town. I guess before we get into the nitty-gritty of the program, how do we let people know about this? And so our plan is to notify people that the project is coming up, notify people when the project is done and when they need to connect to the storm sewer. Obviously, they will have seen the storm sewer be installed for the most part from their property, so they will see it go by and know that that work is happening. And that notification is also part of the ordinance for triggering the timeline, and we'll talk about that again in a minute. We did discuss this last fall when we had the public meetings for Roseland Drive, that this was coming along, that the council had expressed interest in this, and we'd have more info for them later. We also, back in last year with the 82nd Street project, we told them probably that was really early days. We didn't have any information to provide, but we said that this is likely, this is coming up. So the last few projects have had notice that this is coming. And then perhaps most importantly, we've got a city webpage built out. It's not live yet. We wanted to have this meeting with you and to make sure we were on the same page before we made that live, but it will have information on what the requirements are and those areas that are already part of the project, so that they know, you can look at the map and see whether or not your property is in that limit. Oh, and I have a picture for the webpage. So we'll include a little more details on the program and the grant application should you approve it this evening. This is kind of a draft picture of what that web map will look like. I'm always messing with colors and maps on the maps, and we've got a couple of very talented GIS folks that help us with that too, make it as accessible as possible. Our intent would not be to provide any kind of personal information on this map, not really documenting whether or not the property is hooked up, just documenting which properties are within those projects. We will have an internal map for our own tracking and documenting which properties we've contacted and have contacted us. So getting into the details of the code, again, this is what we have discussed at the previous council consultations. We will offer an incentive by providing some assistance through a grant program for those that need to disconnect and reconnect. Right now, the proposal, our direction from council was that 100% of those disconnect and reconnect costs up to $3,500 would be reimbursable to the property owner. The cost would be shared between the city, about $2,500, and the sewer districts, $1,000. We have talked to the sewer districts, and they are comfortable with that. They've budgeted for that. Our plan would be to take ordinances very similar to tonight's ordinance to them and proceed with that approval very shortly. And then we'll discuss a little bit about the eligibility requirements to be part of that grant program on the next slide. The disincentive for this, like what happens if you don't disconnect? There needs to be some kind of, penalty assigned to that, because there is increased fees, increased costs for this failure to disconnect. The fee would begin 1 year after notification. The fees are set by the districts, but these are the values we have discussed with them, so they would need to approve these numbers, but this is what the discussion has been. During year 0, there's no fee, so the first year after you're notified you need to hook up, that gives you a year to hook up, gives you time. The second year, or year 1, after 1 year, there would be a $50 a month fee for the resident. In my experience, it doesn't matter how many notifications you send people, is when you send them the bill for it that they actually notice this happening. So I think there will be some folks that it's not until they get that first $50 fee on their utility bill that they realize, oh, they're serious about this needs to happen. Because we're offering the grant for 2 years, they would still be eligible to come back and get that grant and get that funding to get that disconnection. We also have again, this would be up to the sewer districts to approve, but we also are suggesting a clause that if they find this out, they get it fixed right away, there's some eligibility for a couple of months reimbursement of that fee that they can kind of get caught back up. And then after 2 years, you go up to $100 a month fee for failure to disconnect. Again, those fees are set by the sewer districts. The code itself that we're suggesting tonight also allows violation of this code to be a municipal infraction. So if we've got a property that will not hook up, not only could they have these fees, but the city could also choose to proceed with a municipal infraction against that property, which is much heftier and really carries more weight if we needed to go that route. So I mentioned the eligibility requirements for the grant. We've got the stormwater grant already. The way we've got that stormwater grant set up has really worked well, I think, for ensuring that the work that is intended to be benefited by that grant is actually done, as well as not having too onerous of requirements on the property owner. We're not looking to make them jump through a couple dozen hoops to make this happen. So the first step is to make sure that they are in fact hooked to sanitary. We don't really want to give the grant to folks if they're not actually connected to sanitary. Now, some areas it'll be kind of self-evident. Some areas, if you're outside of a project, it might not be immediately obvious. So that gives us the option. Public Works can do that testing. They just need to schedule it with us. It's not difficult. It's not hard. But we do want to make sure they're actually hooked to sanitary before we pay them to disconnect. Then they would submit the grant application. We would encourage them to do that before beginning work, just to make sure that they really understand what permits are required, what steps are required, that sort of thing, to be eligible for the grant. We would also ask for an estimate from a contractor. We do this with the stormwater grant as well. They're actually not required to use the contractor that they submit the estimate for, but that helps us see the scope of work. I could very much see folks wanting to do additional improvements with this sort of work. That happens with the stormwater grant too. They say, we want to install these practices, and while they're there, we're going to do this other stuff. And we say, that's great. This is eligible. This is not. This would also allow us to do this if they were doing some basement renovations at the same time or something. We could say, this portion is eligible for grant, this portion's not. And you can see that breakdown. And then per our standard policy, there'd be a hold harmless. Basically, it says, yes, we're giving you money, but no, we're not taking any liability on this project with you. And then finance typically requires a W-9 for the reporting purposes. The removal procedure for this, it's really the same whether you're getting a grant or not. According to city code, you have to get a building permit. You have to follow building codes in order to get disconnected. So this isn't anything new or different. We're just documenting that as part of receiving a grant, you do have to follow that standard building permit process. The property owner may hire a contractor to do the work themselves, but that plumbing permit does require a licensed contractor or licensed plumber. So typically you do hire a contractor for it. And then again, similar to our stormwater grant, after the work is done, you submit the receipts showing that you paid. In this case, we'd also make sure the building permit got closed, that building department was happy with all the things that had been done there. If necessary, we could do a repeat testing of the foundation drain. I wouldn't anticipate that would be necessary in most situations. If they're following the permit process, then we should be in good shape. If we miss a step somewhere, that might be a way we come back and show for sure that it got disconnected. And then we would proceed with reimbursement, and we document in our records that that's been done. And again, typically for the stormwater grant, that's a pretty quick process. You get us your invoice, we get the documentation to finance, and they just put it on the regular check schedule, and we move that on through. So thankfully, it's usually pretty quick for folks. So for your consideration this evening is the new Chapter 59 for City Code, the Foundation Drain Disconnection Program. We've done a couple of round of iterations with Maria. She's been super helpful in helping us refine this. I think she had a couple last tweaks that are pretty minor that we can incorporate into the second reading, and make sure we'll get you a red line copy to take a look at that before the next meeting, unless there's any other changes. And then also the Foundation Drain Disconnection Grant program that would establish those guidelines for receiving assistance. And again, this would run with the fiscal year, and it's already funded in the budget per your direction. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Let's talk quick about rentals.
Yes.
How do properties get assessed that $50 fee? And what happens if the renter is paying their water bill, however, the landlord refuses to do?
Sure. So this would be, it would go on the utility charge for the water, so it would be billed with the water. The code itself applies to the property. So the property owner, if we had a municipal infraction, that sort of thing, it would go to the property owner. As far as the fee on the bill, it'd basically be like any other utility setup with between a tenant and a renter. Sometimes those are paid by the tenant, sometimes they're paid by the landlord. It would get rolled into that. We don't really have a mechanism for who pays the bill that gets sent out. I would say it would be a detriment for the landlord. The cost of renting from them would increase, which would affect the market price of their rent.
I think we got to figure that out before, I mean, as a former property owner in an impacted area, we have to have that figured out. I mean, you know, we would definitely do what we needed to do to get in compliance. I don't know that all landlords would do that. And if my tenant's name is on the water bill, it's their responsibility. If I dug my foot in and said, I'm not gonna pay this or do this work. So I think we gotta figure out if it isn't not an owner-occupied structure, a way to get the $50 a month to the property owner and not, I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I mean, it's gonna be, it's not the tenant's responsibility.
Wouldn't the municipal infraction part of it go to the property owner?
Yeah.
But not until after year
2.
Yeah.
No, the municipal infraction can be
We could invoke that
immediate.
theoretically at any time, yeah. Mm-hmm. The hope would be, well, for the average property owner, that the fee would trigger some compliance there. And again, those fees are set by the district, so the municipal infraction is where the city would have.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait for the second year to do the infraction. That can be immediately.
But do we need to set that up in the language of the Chapter 59 that
It's in there.
specifically references non-owner occupied dwellings, or in the accompanying materials that discuss if it is, you know, not, if the water bill is not in the name of the owner, how that's gonna play out? I don't know, I'm looking at you, Maria. You don't gotta tell us right now.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be something we'd have to take a closer look at. I guess treating non-owner occupied and occupied premises differently is always something that is suspect. So we want to make sure, you know, there's a good basis for treating those types of properties differently when it comes to filing of a municipal infraction or the types of penalties imposed. Also, the utility fee isn't set by this council or imposed by this council at all. So that would be a sanitary sewer district decision. So we don't, I mean, that isn't something we can control necessarily, but certainly if the trustees determined that they should handle their rate making differently depending on the type of premises, they could certainly do that. But for the city's perspective, we're saying that the municipal infraction currently would be the route to take for those who would not comply. So I'm not sure. We can certainly take another look at other remedies that could be imposed in the code for this.
But the remedies are the same for, again, all properties, owner-occupied or non-occupied. It's just a matter of what triggers we may need to implement to ensure compliance, I guess. Is that a good way to say it? Or, yeah.
And can you remind us of the notification process? I mean,
So they would be notified, like Roseland Drive properties, we've already discussed at the public meeting. We would send out a letter when projects come online.
and the letter goes to the property owner.
Usually we try for all our mailings to send it both to the property owner and to the residential address. We just send it both places.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of, it's hard to tell sometimes,
Yeah.
or people have a summer house and everything.
Yeah.
So as a general policy, everything that goes out from engineering department, we try to send to both addresses, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because, yeah, we certainly want to notify them as much as possible, yeah.
I've got a couple of other questions. So a few slides back, you had where you talked about offering incentives at a prior project and no one took us up on
Yes.
that. So are we going back and trying to, and notifying those folks in these the previous projects?
Yes. So, yes, so the projects, let me go back another couple slides here. So yeah, the folks that are in the 66th Street Relief Sewer area, the 73rd Street Storm Sewer, the 72nd Street paving project, the 70th Street in Hopkins, they would get a letter saying, this new ordinance is enacted, you're within this, you have a year from the date of this letter to comply. And then that would start the timeline. For year 0, they can comply. A year after that, the $50, assuming the districts approve it, the $50 a month fee would kick in. And the year after that, the $100 fee. And also from the day of that letter, they would have 2 years to do that work and apply for grant funding. So it would, again, these are not difficult things to do, and I would hope that would give them plenty of time to make those arrangements.
And we've already discussed the rental piece of this, but we're not making any distinction, a landlord can apply for this grant.
It's the property owner that needs
Yes.
to apply, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the property owner needs to apply.
Okay. And then I guess along the same lines, what if we have, a property owner that does not have $3,500 to do this to do this project, laying around, or access to credit to be able to put it on their credit card? How would we deal with, I think we talked about this, but I don't know that we came up with an answer, but how would we be able to work with someone that doesn't have the resources to front the money?
That's a tough question. We looked at what other cities were doing for this sort of thing. We did not see anything where any other cities were fronting money in that sort of method. Everything, if folks offered it, it was a reimbursement, and many cities didn't offer any incentive at all. So I would just say that I think the incentive we're offering is far more generous than most communities have already. I think from our perspective, it's important to make sure the work actually is done before that money is.
Well, I guess I don't think we should write them a check for $3,500 and just hope that they do it. I'm thinking more of us paying a contractor directly.
Would there be a way to do it similar to how we do sidewalks? and just assess their property?
I think we talked briefly about that last fall. If we're going to assess their property, we have to do the work ourselves. And I think we really don't want to be entering people's homes and doing that work for them. We also talked about, previously about some difficulties with paying the contractor directly. This needs to be an agreement between the property owner and the contractor doing the work. And then we are supporting the property owner in those efforts. We don't want to take liability by having any kind of contract directly with the contractor on it.
I guess I feel, I mean, I wish we could address this, but I guess if this situation presents itself, I guess I'd like to be notified. So, I don't know, somehow we can figure out a solution.
It might be worth a conversation with NFC as well.
Yeah, and this was discussed again in October. John Conyer looked into that. It sounds like this work would be eligible for NFC funding. From what I also understand, that is a complicated process to get that done, and folks could certainly pursue that route. But I think if they can find the funding, I think our reimbursement process is probably far simpler in the long run.
Well, I guess if something comes to us where it's a problem, I guess I think I'd like to know about it so we can put on our thinking caps and figure out, I mean, I do think we are being incredibly generous with this program, but we are trying to solve a problem that we have in our community, and we've decided to use a carrot, big carrot, to start the process. So, I mean, I'm excited about this program to roll out, but I just, a few concerns with making sure that we're going to be able to hit all the folks that need to be included.
Well, the penalty will be assessed by the sewer district, correct?
Right, it's a fee set by the sewer.
And so do we know if they have any kind of hardship waiver for that?
I don't know if they've done, I don't think so, no. Yeah. I'm not sure that it's been requested before. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of, if folks can't afford it and they end up with the fee, that maybe the fee could be waived in certain circumstances, but that would be for the sewer district to decide, right?
When it comes to the reimbursement, it said that it was going to be cost shared equally, so I'm assuming the first $2,000 of any reimbursement would just be kind of split down the middle, us and the sewer district.
I think
or is there a first dollar?
I think we'd probably prorate it. So if the whole thing was $3,500, then it'd be $2,500. The city $1,000. The sewer. I think we'd probably just prorate it down if it was less than $3,500. We haven't, I guess, gotten into the details of that, but that would be my first thought. Is we just keep the proportions the same.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
All right. We have 2 action items.
I guess I just want to clarify what's going to come back to us on the second reading. There were some changes you were going to make, and then I guess I'd like some more information related to dealing with rental properties and the tenant getting assessed the $50 versus the property owner. Some sort of deeper dive on that before next meeting. I don't know. Amy, does that address your concerns?
Sure.
Well, and it occurs to me, don't we kind of have, with the Roseland project coming up, a pretty large sample size to see how this is going to work out? So could we anticipate that at some point there's kind of a report out on how things are going?
Oh, certainly,
with
yeah.
Roseland?
Yeah.
So that we can see if we really are having issues. If the whole idea here is to have a stick
Sure.
with the carrot
Sure.
to make it work.
Yes, the projects that have already been completed would be the first round this first year. The Roseland properties won't come till next spring, but yeah, we'll absolutely report back on how it's progressing.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
between the two, yeah. That would be good to have.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-08.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
I'll move approval of council letter, oh, wait,
Even-
sorry.
Just gotta make sure the first one passes. I didn't see it on the screen, on my screen. Well, I don't
There.
get that screen, remember? I don't get that screen. There we go, that passes. Item, okay. Go ahead,
I'll
Bridget.
move approval of council letter 8164.
Okay, motion by
Second.
Carberry Montgomery, second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
That.
Vote again?
I think so. I did.
That passes, all right. All right, item 9.5 is consider the purchase of the roadway salt, and John Larson, answer any questions if there are.
John, don't we have a bunch of roadway salt somewhere?
Just replenishes last year.
Oh, okay. It's not just sitting, waiting for a new snowstorm to hit yet this year. Okay. Move approval, council letter 8159.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Cacciatore?
Yes.
Blake. Doesn't normally happen. That's my job. Amy, do you have a button?
Kroll?
Yes.
All right, that passes. All right, item 10, city manager's report, David.
Well, in the interest of time, and we've got quite a bit of together time in DC this week, I will spare everybody.
You don't have anything for me?
I'll spare everybody the update. More to come, but not tonight.
All right. Amy.
I'm going to say about the same thing, except it was great to go for a ride with all of you. I'm glad to see the gates up on the intersection, the railroad there. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, thanks, Dean. Joe?
Yeah, a lot going on. Attended the DART meeting at the library, and it was well attended. A lot of good questions. Pat and I think Bridget was there early, and then there were a lot of questions directed to city council members who were known to be in the room. And we did our best to answer those, but it was a good presentation, and there was a lot of interest. I also, on Friday, saw the new UCAN space. Mary Polson showed me around. They have, as you might know, posted advertisement for a new director. And Mary told me that they had received, I think, 12 applications within the first 24 hours. And I know they've received more since that time, and I think there's some very good applicants in that pool. I understand that Aaron Freeman's going to participate in the interviews, which I think is a great idea. So that we're sort of at the table in those interviews. Attended the downtown revitalization open house. I think everyone was there, and that was a great event. And I'm hearing a lot in the community after the Des Moines Register's article about it. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm. Someone even mentioned it to me at the partnership orientation meeting, that we're excited about what we're doing here. So it's out there. Also participated in the bike ride, and that was a lot of fun. And next year, I think, Mr. Mayor, you need to order warmer weather. That's it.
Well, I would love to. Joe. All right, thanks, Joe. Blake?
Ditto on the bike ride. It was a great time, even if it was cold. I was excited to see the amount of people that took advantage of the stormwater and rain barrel reimbursements in the bill list this month. That was really cool to see some of those come in. There was great turnout at the Living History Farms Cultivation Center ribbon cutting. It was a good event and lots of people there. I think it's open now, right?
Yes.
It's ready to go.
Yeah, it opened, May 1 was the opening day for Living History Farms, and the building, that's when we did the ribbon cutting, and it was open in conjunction with that. So it's a great addition to the farms and provides a year-round venue that they sorely need, so.
And then final note is I really enjoy driving by the Econo Lodge site every day and seeing the development of different parts of the building going down. It's kind of fun to see that time lapse. So looking forward to the next steps on that.
The bike ride where we could slowly see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that'd be
too.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, it was made very obviously to me that I am the only member of the council that does not actively ride a bike, so we may have to change that for next year. We'll
In
we'll
fact,
see.
I think you were posting pictures from, where was it? Was it down at the High Life at that time, maybe?
That was the night before.
Oh, okay.
That was the night before. I may have posted it in the morning.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, I gotta love those Tang drinks that they have down there, so. I just wanted to point out what I think is I have a number of items, so, but congratulate Jan and the Parks Department for getting a grant from the Dallas County Foundation. I have paid attention to that foundation since my arrival in Dallas County in 2007. And the suburbs are notoriously absent a lot of times from the grant recipients. And from my review, there was only 2 applications that were funded for, west of, or east of Adel. So I think that's a big deal. And thank you, Jan, for your aggressive pursuit of grant opportunities for all of our projects. Another thing that I noticed over the weekend was a significant amount of negative feedback on our pet licensing on the Facebook post that the police department did. And I just don't understand it. I see Derek shaking his head. We were called everything under the sun, negative, for charging fees for pet licensing. I don't know. In my mind, it's very direct, if you have a pet, it helps defray the costs of animal control. So I don't know what's going on there, but there was like 200 or 300 comments, and none of them were good. So just interesting note. I think it's either tonight or it's already happened, but the Hickman interchanges northbound on Hickman and Douglas are closing, which is really going to impact Urbandale more than the other closures. So I'm interested to hear if we're going to be getting any negative feedback on that. So just a couple notes, since I won't be going to DC with you. And you may all know this, but I just thank you for giving me a folder so I can have FOMO. But I did notice that the opening keynote speaker for the luncheon on Thursday, is a representative from Michigan whose sister is an Urbandale resident. I didn't know if you knew that connection. Lisa McDonald Wright lives in Dallas County, Urbandale. I'm like 99% sure she lives in Urbandale, but her sister was elected to the United States House of Representatives, and she is the keynote speaker, so, you can make that connection with her. And really, best of luck in DC. I will hold down the fort here go to the sustainability fair at the library, although I just found out I have 2 sports events that night, so maybe I won't be able to, but I'll try. And then the thing that I really, I guess, need to talk about is DART. Thank you all for those that attended and for your continued participation in the Reimagine process. Tomorrow is our monthly meeting, and I am asked to give a sense of where we are leaning. And we had a very good discussion at our Lunch and Learn late this afternoon. I sent you 2 emails, one that had general responses to the 1,400 or whatever number of surveys that were received, generally leaning towards ridership generally. And then I also sent you information that we received this morning that was specific, high level, but specific to Urbandale, also leaning towards ridership. So I feel comfortable saying that, we are, very much aligned with the ridership model for that portion of it. The other portion is related to the budget. And thankfully, I've had the opportunity to talk to David at length several times about this. So there's a status quo budget option, and then a slightly smaller network, and then whatever happens if the legislature enacts whatever they decide to enact that may significantly negatively impact art. So I need to give them an idea of where we're leaning on that. The actual voting is going to occur on May 19th, but in discussions with David, I think the most fiscally responsible thing is to do the slightly smaller budget, although one thing we have the option, which I didn't really talk to David about, was, we would be able to increase our levy rate to pay, to meet our obligation. So I think what I'm going to say is that we're definitely leaning towards the slightly smaller model, but I don't really want to see service cuts more than we have to, so I'm still open to feedback on that part of it. But that's what I'm going to say tomorrow, and then we have till the 19th. If anyone has any feedback, I'll continue to forward you information that I received from DART. So I think that's it. Since you're not hanging out with me all week, I went in double or triple, so sorry.
Appreciate your work on DART, Bridget. I've just mentioned a couple of different, all the wonderful events that have happened in the past couple of weeks have been remarkable. Downtown Urbandale redevelopment piece, the mayor's bike ride, the DART meeting. There are more. You all mentioned them. I think I've gotten to most of them, not all of them. They're fantastic. They've been fantastic events, and a lot of thanks to our staff for really doing this incredible work, including the really cool publicity around some of this stuff. I'd like to know more about this before I plant it. And I just wanted to mention 2 things that haven't come up. One was on April 26th in the afternoon, the Walnut Creek Watershed Management Authority had its celebration. And I really want to thank engineering for showing up there and, raising the flag and telling people about sustainability and water quality management. I thought that was fantastic. And then also, I got to go with some Valeria students and pull garlic mustard with Jan and company. That was a really fun time. And so on May 8th, as the library's having its sustainability fair, though, Bridget, you've got some work to do. I think theirs is from 5:30 to 7:30, and then they're pulling garlic mustard in the same neighborhood from 4:30 to 6:30. Do I have that right, based on the signs on the trails? So those are great things and quite compatible and important to participate in. Thanks, that's it for me.
Thanks, Matt. Well, I don't have a whole lot further. We mentioned the mayor's bike ride, the trip to DC. We'll do our best to advocate on a number of issues. We have our priorities squared, and so we'll advocate for that. I did have the opportunity to go to Olmsted to participate in BizTown and elect the mayor of BizTown at Olmsted, so that was fun last week. So, Blake, you mentioned Living History Farms. That was another good event. So a lot of going on, a lot of good things going on. So Derek and I are starting to work on the first draft of the State of the City, so stay tuned for that. Again, that's going to be late June, June 27, I think. Is that right? Last Thursday in June, right before the 4th. Yeah, it's the last Thursday in June. Anyway. 26.
Tomorrow, just
26.
a reminder that there is the strategic plan kickoff. If you can't make it in person, there is a virtual, homelessness. So it's the blueprint to address homelessness.
And we're working on, that's another good thing I probably should mention, is the Homeless Coordinating Council. We're working on that. I'm on that board and interacting with Amy and wearing her other hat on that as well. And we're trying to expand the reach of HCC in our community. So some good things happening there. So with that, we do have a closed session item, so I would ask for a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51C.
So moved.
Second.
Roll, second by Bodie. Discussion. Do you want to do a roll call, or are you going to do
Cacciatore?
Yes.
Keep going.
It's not hearing.
Send again.
It's not here. Got it.
All right, that passes. So we will go and enter into closed session here. Thank you, everybody.